CBC News is also confirming that a Canadian citizen is the youngest victim killed by that explosion. 3-year-old Alexandra Naggear was fatally injured in the explosion on August the 4th. She died a few days later in hospital, and for many, Alexandra is the face of Beirut's catastrophe. Images of her have been widely shared on social media in Lebanon and around the world. Well, Alexandra's parents, Paul and Tracy Naggear, joined us right now in Beirut. Paul and Tracy, thank you for joining us. We are so sorry for your loss. Tracy, perhaps you can begin. Tell us a bit more about Alexandra, only 3 years old when she died.
Well, hi, hello. We were home and she was playing, and then we heard a big bomb, and she hit her head, and we took her to the hospital, and a few days later she died.
She died from swelling in the brain, to my understanding, and the brain stopped working, which caused organs to start shutting down. But Paul, how do you want people to remember your daughter? A beautiful girl, just 3 years old, so incredibly tragic when you think of her loss.
I think she was the best way to remember her would be really the loving person that she was, the beautiful, loving kid who even managed to befriend our friends and spread love all around. I think this is how she will be remembered for sure. And now maybe when she was sitting in the hospital, we were wishing that she would be the miracle that this catastrophe would need, and that she would survive her wounds. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and we wish that she could be the miracle that this country needs. So a loving baby, a loving person, and hopefully the catalyst of change that we need so much.
You know, over the weekend I was speaking to one of the emergency doctors at the hospital who was trying desperately to save your daughter's life, and he was just describing how gutted he was that they couldn't save her. Tracy, what have these past few days been like for you?
Awful. It was hard, sad, but you know, Lebanese people, international people that are with us, that are sending us messages, are giving us strength, hope. You know, we believe that what happened was very hard for us. It was a crime, but let's hope it's a crime that will help us turn around things in Lebanon and, you know, get our country back.
And you know, I do want to talk about that. You were describing the events on the day of the explosion last week, and how Alexandra was thrown by the blast, and that's because your apartment's about 1 kilometer away from the actual storage unit that was containing all these chemicals. But I also, to my understanding, Tracy, is that you, in the midst of all that, tried to protect your daughter's body from the falling debris. I know it's difficult, and I hope you don't mind, but can you describe that for us?
I just tried everything to cover her. She was covered by me, but you know, it was, I guess, too late. My thoughts at the moment was just to save my child, and while covering her and having, you know, all the doors and everything fall on my head and my back, I was just saying to myself, okay, so I'm taking the hits. It's good. She's under me. She's, you know, she's safe. And the rest, I just don't care. I'm gonna be fine, and she's just safe, covered by me. I didn't know that she was hit before in the head, so that's it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, and I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I know it's not easy. But you know, Paul, part of the problem too, and I guess part of the challenge in the immediate aftermath was even finding a hospital that would treat not only Alexandra, but you and your wife as well.
Yeah, that's correct, because the most of the hospitals, similarly to our homes, similarly to the homes of our neighbors, and to actually more than 300,000 people today that are displaced and without a roof over their head, have been shattered. The first hospital that is actually right underneath our place was in ruins. We were lucky to actually have a Red Cross station also underneath our house, which was not accessible anymore. So we had to make it to the next nearest hospital. Tracy and I had unfortunately to separate because she had 6 broken ribs and she was not really able to walk, so we had to separate. And the solidarity of the people was tremendous at that time. And I was lucky to find a motorcycle driver that took us to the next nearest hospital, which was also in shambles, but we managed to give her the first relief. Identified that it was a brain concussion for sure because of her state of consciousness, and then they prioritized Alexandra because of her young age to be able to get into the next ambulance, so we could be taken also to the other functioning hospital.
Mm-hmm. You touched on it a bit earlier, Paul, but I'm wondering if you might share with us what that was like for the next few days, because Alexandra was injured in the initial blast. She died a few days later in hospital. What were those days like for you, hoping, obviously, as a parent that loves her daughter, that she would survive?
You can only have it was just faith in her survival, although the chances were very small. You forget about everything during these days, and you just keep on fighting for her, for my wife. We tried as much as possible to find solutions. The medical staff, I'm glad that you spoke to them. They were amazing. But the options that we had were very, very small. So we, you have to make the decisions quickly. We had to make a decision that led to a skull surgery. So we had to conduct a surgery that consists in opening the brain so that you can let the swollen brain, the swelling have more space to grow. You have to keep the faith. You have to pray. You have to be very strong. I mean, this is, and your focus is only on your kid. That's the only thing you can do.
Tracy, how were you told that Alexandra didn't survive?
I was at the hospital actually. So on the day of the bomb, my husband and Alexandra went to another hospital. We were separated for 24 hours, and 24 hours later, I was out of the hospital because I wanted to be with her. So I kind of didn't let them any choice to keep me. So I went to the hospital to join Paul and Alexandra. So I was here when she was gone. I was with her. We were both with her for the 3 last days and 2 last hours of her life. So I was with her, and I was just next to her when she took her last breath.
That is so heartbreaking to hear. Excuse me. Tracy, you talked about how you hope her life and her death is a catalyst for change. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Can you tell us more?
A bit about the fact that she would be a catalyst for change. The
last 2 hours when I was with Lixu, so we call her like Lixu, I was telling her constantly, be the miracle of this big tragedy. They tried, at the time, they tried to kill you. They destroyed most of Beirut. People are without houses today, lost friends, families, children. So if you live, so just like Paul said, it's going to be a miracle with proof
Which is much
that,
needed.
yes, it will be a proof that, you know, you assemble, you kill Beirut, and it will live again. So they killed you, please live again. And so it didn't happen. My only hope today is that the fact that we lost a child is, you know, a wake-up call for all Lebanese people and expats and international people to just help us save this country. Alexandra is the youngest, you know, victim of this big tragedy, but there's a lot of people that died as well. There is a lot of people that were injured so bad, you know, losing hands or sight or anything. And we need a miracle, actually. You know, we need hope, we need strength, and Alexandra is giving this to the Lebanese people just by being a symbol. So I guess that's what we mean by she'd be the miracle of this country, just to give them strength and hope and logic to see really, so they can really see what's happening in this country.
Tracy and Paul, we are so sorry for your loss, and thank you for joining us today to share your thoughts.
Thank you for being with us.
And that is Tracy and Paul Naggear, the mother and father of 3-year-old Alexandra Naggear, who was the youngest victim of last week's blast, also a Canadian.